The WNBA is currently experiencing its most explosive period of growth in history. But behind the record-breaking television ratings and sold-out arenas, a civil war is tearing the front office apart. When fans see Caitlin Clark or Napheesa Collier, they expect to see the face of a thriving new era of professional basketball. But according to internal league documents and blistering post-game statements made throughout late 2024 and 2025, the reality is a toxic and negligent environment where the players are openly calling for the removal of their own leadership. We are following the money and the internal fractures to answer three critical questions. First, why did Napheesa Collier, the vice president of the Players Union, officially label the league's management as the worst leadership in the world? Second, what are the specific receipts behind the alleged dismissive comments made by Commissioner Cathy Engelbert regarding the league's top stars? And third, how did a systemic failure in player safety lead to the league's golden goose, Caitlin Clark, being sidelined just as the record-breaking television deals were being finalized? This is the Industry Secrets Package on the 2025 WNBA Leadership Crisis. The most shocking point of this entire timeline involves a specific October 2025 exit interview where the league's financial secrets were laid bare. But before we get to the $16 million gap, we have to look at the receipt that started the rebellion, the September 2025 playoff crashout. According to reports from the Associated Press on September 30th, 2024, and subsequent follow-ups in 2025, the second most shocking element of this crisis is the $15,000 fine handed to Minnesota Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve. The expectation was a standard fine for criticizing referees. The reality was a record-breaking penalty and a one-game suspension for a playoff semifinal. Reeve didn't just complain about a call, she labeled the league's decision-making as fucking malpractice. The receipt for this anger was a play where MVP runner-up Napheesa Collier suffered a significant ankle injury due to what Reeve called a lack of control by the officials. While the National Basketball Referees Association claimed the contact was incidental, the players saw it as the ultimate proof of negligence. Now we move to the number one most shocking revelation in the 2025 season, the private conversations of Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. Per the bombshell reporting by Basketball.au and Front Office Sports on September 30th, 2025, Napheesa Collier delivered a 4-minute prepared statement that sent shockwaves through the industry. Collier alleges that during a private conversation about player pay and the new media rights deal, Engelbert told her that players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the deal she secured. Even more damaging was the alleged comment regarding Caitlin Clark. According to Collier, when she questioned why stars who drive massive revenue are paid so little, Engelbert's response was that Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court because without the platform the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. This receipt exposes a fundamental rift. The league believes it created the stars, while the players believe they are the ones building the value. This brings us to our third major question, the reality of the Caitlin Clark injury mismanagement. The expectation was that the league would protect its billion-dollar asset. The reality, according to the 2025 player reviews, was a season plagued by nagging groin and quad injuries that eventually forced Clark out of action in early September. Per the report from October 21st, 2025, Clark missed a game for the first time since high school, but the industry's secret is the level of physical play she was forced to endure. On June 27, 2025, national analysts debated whether the league was pushing Clark too far. The receipt? A regular season matchup where she was poked in the eye and shoved to the ground, with officials only assessing a technical foul until social media pressure forced an upgrade to a flagrant 2. This pattern of unchecked physicality led to refund requests pouring in as the league's biggest draw was sidelined, proving that the lack of star protection is a direct threat to the league's bottom line. Section 4 examines the billion-dollar valuation myth. While the league talks about sustainability, the receipts tell a different story. According to data from November 2025, franchise valuations have soared, with the New York Liberty's value jumping from $14 million in 2019 to over $450 million in 2025. Furthermore, the new 11-year media rights deal is valued at approximately $2.2 billion. Despite this influx of capital, players are still receiving a disproportionately small share of total revenue, estimated at just 9.3% compared to the 50% shared in the NBA. This financial gap is the fuel for the looming labor strike. The players aren't just asking for more money, they are demanding a structural share of the growth they created. In Section 5, we look at the collective rebellion. This isn't just about Collier or Clark. According to the July 19, 2025 All-Star Game reports, players across the league wore black shirts during warm-ups with the slogan, "Pay us what you owe us." Even coaches like Stephanie White and Becky Hammon were fined $1,000 each for publicly supporting Cheryl Reeve's criticism of the league. This is a unified front against the leadership that Collier describes as tone-deaf and dismissive. The receipt of this tension is the announcement that the Players Union is officially moving toward a work stoppage for the 2026 season, unless the compensation model is completely overhauled. Section 6 dives into the hidden charter flight scandal. While the league publicly celebrated the rollout of charter flights in 2024, the internal reality was a nightmare of logistical failures. According to internal memos leaked in August 2025, several teams were forced to wait for hours on tarmacs because the league's contracted flight provider was under-resourced. Per a report from The Athletic, one veteran player described the experience as more taxing than flying commercial. This shows that even when the league gives the players what they want, the execution is handled with the same negligence that defines their officiating. Furthermore, the league's approach to expansion has been criticized as a land grab without a safety net. With the Golden State Valkyries, Portland, and Toronto set to join, the player pool is being stretched thin. According to the 2025 GM survey, over 50% of rookies drafted in 2025 were cut before the season even started because there simply aren't enough roster spots. This creates an environment where players are terrified to speak out about injuries or safety because they are viewed as dispensable assets. The receipt for this fear is the quiet injury epidemic, where players are reportedly hiding soft tissue damage just to stay on a roster. Finally, we look at the impact on the league's expansion. The WNBA plans to grow to 18 teams by 2030. However, the insider takeaway is you cannot build a mansion on a cracked foundation. If the league continues to suppress the voices of its players through record-breaking fines and ignores the physical toll of the game, the expansion will fail. The reality is that the WNBA is no longer a niche project. It is a major league that requires a leader who values the human element as much as the television contract. The summary of this crisis is clear. The WNBA is a league at war with its own success. From the alleged dismissive remarks in the commissioner's office to the F-bomb-laden press conferences in the playoffs, the veneer of a professional partnership has vanished. The players have the receipts of their impact on the economy, and they are no longer willing for crumbs. According to the current labor trajectory, the 2026 season is seriously in jeopardy, and the outcome will determine whether the WNBA truly enters its golden age or collapses under the weight of its own leadership. To understand the full scope of how these power moves really work, you need to see the bigger picture. The money, the manipulation, and the mistakes are all connected in a game that happens off the court. If you want to stay ahead of the next major industry collapse and understand the truth about the players' struggle for equity, you need to watch the Court Vision Rope playlist. It is the essential next step to understanding the game behind the game. The future of women's basketball depends on whether the league can bridge the gap between the $16 million endorsements and the $76,000 base salaries. Per the latest financial charts of 2025, the growth is undeniable, but the distribution is broken. As Napheesa Collier stated in her viral statement, the league believes it succeeds despite its players, not because of them. That mentality is the ultimate industry secret that is now out in the open. The negligence doesn't stop at the players, it extends to the fans. In late 2025, reports surfaced that ticket prices for Fever games dropped by nearly 50% following Clark's injury announcement. The league had no contingency plan for the star being sidelined, leading to millions in lost secondary market revenue. This reinforces the reality that the current leadership is reactive rather than proactive. They are riding a wave they didn't create and don't know how to steer. As we close this package, remember that every record-breaking rating is built on the health and sacrifice of the athletes on the floor. When the leadership fails to protect those athletes, they're not just failing the players, they're failing the fans and the investors who have bet billions on the future of the WNBA. The civil war in the front office is just beginning, and the receipts are only going to get louder. Check the playlist now to see how the rest of the industry is reacting to this unprecedented power struggle. We will be here to track every fine, every leak, and every move in the battle for the future of the game.